Psalm 73, yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. And afterward, you will take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And who on earth has anything that I desire besides you? For my flesh and my heart, they may fail, but God is the strength of my heart, and he is my portion forever. Those who are far from you, Lord, will perish. You destroy all the unfaithful. But as for me, it is good to be near God, for I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. And therefore I will tell of all your deeds and the things that you do. I want to welcome you this morning, Stonebridge. Thanks for being with us. Thanks if you're online. Jesus said, by their fruits you will know them. So I'm going to give you a test on your knowledge of fruits this morning. All right, you ready? If you do not participate, you cannot win. You understand, don't you? And see that camera in the back? You know one of the things that camera can do that the other one couldn't do is it can zoom in. And afterwards, I'll have a real good idea like who's participating and who's not. Just throwing that out there, okay? Just want you to be aware. All right, here we go. Here's your first question. The number of daily servings recommended for fruits and vegetables. The USDA has a recommended number of daily servings of fruits and vegetables. What is that recommended number of daily servings of fruits and vegetables? All right? Number 2. The states of Louisiana, North Carolina, and Delaware all call this fruit their official fruit. What is it? North Carolina, Louisiana, and as I said, there, Delaware, all have the same official fruit. Maybe we should do this like with a partner, because I could just tell, like, you people who think you're smart are really going to struggle with this. And these are the easy questions, okay? Just want you to know they get harder, all right? Those 3 states. There's actually a 4th one, but I just thought, well, if you don't get the first 3, the 4th one ain't going to help you either. So, okay, here's number 3. True or false? The tomato you find in your salad is really a fruit. Oh, look at some of you. You're like, oh, man, I got this one. Yeah. Okay. All right, number 4. The official fruit of Missouri. The official fruit for Missouri is what? What's our official fruit? And I'm just being real general. There's actually, it's a specific fruit. I'll just take the general category. So all you lifelong Missouri residents, you ought to be nailing this stuff, right? You know what this tells me? Is that most of you have no idea how many servings of fruits and vegetables you're supposed to have. Because you're like, I can just see the blank looks. Number 5, true or false, the pumpkins and gourds at Halloween are vegetables. The pumpkins and gourds at Halloween are vegetables. Okay, here we go, number 6. It's only 10 questions and a bonus one, so you're halfway there. This is the most common official state fruit. What is it? What's the most common state fruit of the 50 states? Doing my research this week, I think there were 5 states that claim a variation of this fruit as their official state fruit. You didn't think you'd go to church today and like walk away with like, man. Number 7, the peach is state fruit for 3 states. I just want you to name one of them. The peach is actually the official state fruit for 3. Would you just name one of them? Should you miss this one, just don't know how we're going to be able to help you. It's got to be like, this is like a softball one. All right, number 8. Ohio and Tennessee both list this as their state fruit. Ohio and Tennessee both have this as their particular state fruit. Dun, 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 dun. Anybody from Ohio or Tennessee? Oh, you got this one, right? No. Okay, all right. Number 9, in 1893, this group of people settled the tomato dispute. Who are they? Over 100 years ago, there was a group of people that was charged with deciding the tomato controversy. So who decided it? Number 10, would the avocado be a fruit or a vegetable? Is the avocado a fruit or a vegetable? I'm going to give you a bonus one in the event we end up with a tie. Bonus question looks like this. In 2023, this was the top-selling fruit in the U.S. What was the top-selling fruit? What fruit do most Americans want to eat? Hi, Jason, can you move me back to the previous screen, or do I just got to go, like, delete these one by one? Dun, 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 dun. Well, let's start. We can get there. All right, here we go. Are you ready? I'm going to have you grade yourselves. Man, should I do that, or should I have you pass it to your neighbor? Okay, you think you're all right? Okay. Because the prize is really cool. Okay, all right. Number of daily servings recommended is? 3. I got a 3. I got 5. 4 right there. The 5s have it. Yes, give yourself credit there. I didn't make this up. USDA. You don't blame them. All right, here we go. States of Louisiana, North Carolina, and Delaware all call this fruit their state fruit. What is that fruit?
Grapes.
Strawberry. I got grapes. I got plum, I got a strawberry back there. The correct answer is strawberry is the official state fruit for those 3 states. True or false, the tomato you find in your salad is really a fruit? True. That is true. The tomato is considered a fruit. And, suddenly I find myself like, maybe I'm going to eat a tomato. I don't know. Probably not. All right. Yeah, probably not. The official fruit for Missouri is what? Oh, I got an apple. Plum? Pear? What is it? Let's do a grape. There's a variation. It's got a name, grape, but at the end of the day, it's a grape. And having spent last week in Herman, I could see where maybe we could get the grape, okay? All right. The pumpkins and gourds at Halloween are vegetables.
True.
See, you got a 50-50 shot on this one, right? You got, but it is false, all right? Pumpkins, I didn't know that. Pumpkins are fruits. They're considered fruit in the world of fruits and vegetables. All right, number 6. This is the most common official state fruit. 5 states have some variation of this fruit as their state fruit. What is it?
Orange.
Got an orange over here? It is apples. It is apples. Yes. By contrast, there's only 1 state with an orange. Yeah, it's just all there is. That's all there is. I didn't even put that as a question because I thought, okay, all right. All right, here we go. The peach is state fruit for 3 states. Can you name one of them? Oh, you guys are so smart. Anybody name anything other than Georgia? Oh, now I'm hugely disappointed in your knowledge of South Carolina. Has the peach as well as Alabama. Those 3 states all have. Number 8, Ohio and Tennessee both list this as their state fruit.
Kiwi.
It's not. But that's a good guess. It's a good guess. You know what? When you get to this stage of the guess, of the test, and a guy's doing that stuff, you know he's just not in it, right? You just know, I don't have a shot here, okay? All right, what do you got?
Blueberries. Great.
Would you believe the tomato? Obviously, you wouldn't believe that because none of you got it right. But those 2 states, Ohio and Tennessee, list the tomato as their state fruit. In 1893, this is the group of people that settled the tomato, is it a fruit or a vegetable? Let me give you the backstory. So the reason let's just do the answer. What's the answer? Who settled it?
Quakers.
That's what I said.
It was not the Quakers. It was not the USDA.
Congress.
It was not Congress, but sneaking close, Supreme Court. Supreme Court, because here was the issue, that there was going to be a tariff on vegetables. And a wealthy businessman in New York, who who was a tomato grower, didn't want to pay the tariff tax. And so that thing worked its way through the legal system all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which they decided was a vegetable. Even though by definition the tomato's a fruit, they declared it a vegetable, which tells you the Supreme Court does not always get it right. And yes, that's on video, all right? But they messed that one up. Okay, here we go. Number 10, would the avocado be a fruit or a vegetable?
Fruit.
If you said fruit, you win. Yes. Avocado is not a vegetable. Here's the bonus question. The top selling fruit in 2023 was what?
Banana.
Got a banana? Apples? Strawberries? All good guesses, but it is the banana.
Yes. 23 years of peace.
Yes, that was a good year. All right, okay, so tally up. I'm just curious. We had 10 questions and a bonus one. The bonus one I'm going to hang on to. How many of you got all 10 right? Man, seriously disappointed in some of you. How many of you got half of them right? You got 5 or more? Okay, 6, 7. 7 over here. 7, 8. 8. You got 8 right? 8. Anybody get 9? 9. I got 8. So nobody got 10. Nobody got 9. You got 8? Did you cheat? Wait, you didn't use your phone, did you? Because you're like one of the best, like we're there with your phone. You all good? Give a hand to Jennifer here. She wins a bag of popcorn. Hey, is popcorn a fruit or a vegetable? It's a grain. It's a grain. It's not a fruit or vegetable. Let's talk about fruits today. Take your Bible, open to the book of Colossians. That imagery of fruit is used a lot in the New Testament especially. Jesus talked about it. Paul talked about it. And not just in one place, but in several places. Remember, it was Jesus who said, by their fruits you will know them. Okay? And this week, I just found myself with this prayer that Paul's got here in Colossians chapter 1. I want to read you the prayer, and then I want to just back up to like this idea of fruit. So Colossians chapter 1 and verse 9. Paul writes, since they had, last week we looked at they had trusted Christ, that Epaphras went from Ephesus back home to Colossae, and he took with him the message of Jesus that he had heard. And out of that, a church is formed, this group of believers. Now, Paul's writing this letter to encourage them. He said, I heard about your faith. He's never met them, but he's like, man, God's been doing some good stuff in your life. He's in jail. Paul's in jail. And so he's writing back to these people saying, but what you're doing there, what God's doing through you is really an encouragement to me. For this reason, verse 9, since the day we heard about you, we've not stopped praying for you and asking God to fill you with the knowledge of his will through all spiritual wisdom and understanding. And we are praying this in order that you would live a life worthy of the Lord and that you would please him in every way, bearing fruit in every good work, growing in your knowledge of God, being strengthened with all power according to his glorious might, so that you would have great endurance and patience, and joyfully giving thanks to the Father who's qualified you to share in the inheritance of the saints in the kingdom of light. For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness, and he's brought us into the kingdom of his Son he loves, in whom we have redemption. We have the forgiveness of sins. So this series, we're just looking at like, how do we grow deeper? What does deeper look like in our walk with God? And Paul here in this prayer says, hey, the second time he says, I'm praying that your life would be one that reflects God's goodness. I think that's just my word, my verbiage for live a life worthy. Because none of us are worthy. You can't sit here and say, I'm deserving that Jesus loved me. So what does it mean to live a life worthy? And I think it means it's a life that just puts him on display, that makes him known. And what does that look like? What are some marks of that? And he says here that we're bearing fruit in every good work. So here's what I want us to understand. I think Paul's prayer was for God's people to simply be doing good in the neighborhood. I think that one of the results of coming to Jesus is where there's, the fruit. How do I know there was a vine? Because I see the result. The fruit is simply the result of what's going on that you can't see. The vine goes in the ground, the branches come out of the ground, the nutrients are flowing, but even through all of that, you wouldn't know it's alive unless what? Unless you see the fruit. The fruit is the evidence that there's life. And I think when we're out doing good in the neighborhood, that's the evidence that God's at work in you. And if you can't show that there's any good coming from your life, then you'd have to pull back and say, maybe the plant's diseased, maybe there's some life there, but you know what, it's sick, it's sickly, or maybe there's no life at all, and it's fake. Because there is such a thing as fake grapes, right? You can go to Hobby Lobby and buy them. You can go to Michael's and buy fake grapes. A lot of people do it, and they put them on display. Oh, man, that looks good, and until you take a bite of it. And then you're like, whoa, right? I think God's desire, one of the things that Paul prayed that God would do in these people, and his desire for us is that our lives would reflect Jesus, and that the result of that is we would be doing good. We would be bearing fruit. This is 2 times. Look at verse 6. We saw last week that Paul said, the gospel, you have faith and love that spring from hope, that's stored up for you in heaven, and you've already heard about the word of truth, the gospel that has come to you, and all over the world this gospel is, say it out loud. It says right there. What is it? What's the gospel doing? Say it. It's bearing fruit. The message of Jesus is going out, and there are results that are coming from it. What results, Mike? A church was born. There was no Christians in Colossae. Till this guy comes back from Ephesus. And he starts telling people. And people receive the message about Jesus. And they're like, whoa, okay. Oh, man, really? Huh? I heard about Jesus. I don't know. I've never heard of Jesus. Yeah, let me tell you about him. And then they start meeting. And God begins to do something with this group of people. There's results. So this is what I want us to think about today. What does this doing good look like? Okay? Is doing good just being nice? I think some of us think, if I'm just a nice person, I want to, you know what I want to do? If that's your bubble, I want to burst it. And then how do we I'm going to leave here and Monday through Saturday, I'm out here and I'm not in this church building. So what would bearing fruit look like when I'm not in church? Because I don't think what Paul's talking about is just what happens on Sundays. I think it's meant for the other 6 days of the week, okay? So, having understood that, twice he says we're bearing fruit. John 15, Jesus is the one who said, you didn't choose me. He's talking to his disciples. He said, but I chose you and I appointed you so that you might go and that you would bear fruit. That there would be results in your life from me having chosen you. That there would be something that's happening that's different because I'm at work in you. So that you would bear fruit and fruit that will last. He's contrasting that with this stuff, which if I leave it up here for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's going to get kind of nasty. But God at work in you never gets nasty. That you would bear fruit that lasts, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father would give you. In Ephesians, Paul talks about fruit. And he's talking about, he uses the illustration or metaphor, if you will, of light. And he says the fruit of the light, the results of the light. What is if the light of God is at work in someone? What are the results that are coming out of that? And he says it consists in goodness, righteousness, and truth. That Christ followers, when Jesus is at work and you're bearing fruit, what's that fruit look like? Just good, being good. gracious, being truthful, living a right life, not cutting corners. Those are all the results of someone who's in the light following Jesus. Hebrews 13, 15, and 16 says, therefore, by Christ, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to God. That is the fruit of lips. The result of our lips is praise to God. It's the singing of songs. That's what we've done. Hey, we're going to have a praise service. What do you think of? We're going to sing. I think it's your story. I think it's God conversations. That's all it says here. The fruit of lips that give thanks to his name, but do not forget to do good and to share. For with such sacrifices, God is well pleased. When you think about something, in the Old Testament, you brought your animal to church. You offered a sacrifice. God doesn't want your animals anymore. You know what he wants? He wants you to do good. He wants you to tell the truth. He wants you to live righteously. He wants you to be generous and share. Those are the things that God is looking for now. He's not looking. You know what's interesting to me? And I just want you to hear my heart. The things I showed you, you know what you didn't hear? You didn't hear, I want you to memorize the book of Ephesians. You didn't hear, I need you baptized, although I think you should be. And a lot of times we have drifted towards spirituality looking like how many times you show up on Sunday, but then honestly, your life is repugnant on Monday. That's not attractive. We've equated spirituality with how much you know, as though heaven was an entrance exam, and you're going to take like an ACT test. I'm not discounting the knowledge of the Word, because I'm giving you the knowledge of the Word today that says, hey, here's what the fruit of God looks like. Here's what it's like to bear fruit. And if you don't know that, what's it look like? I don't know. What am I supposed to do? But knowledge is not, in and of itself, the be-all, end-all. Because Paul said, if I have all knowledge, 1 Corinthians 13, if I can argue circles around you, if I got this book memorized, but I do not have, say it out loud. What's he say? If I do not have love, I'm like a noisy gong in the high school band. I'm trying to keep us on center track. Word's important. It's the word that gets me to know who my Savior is, Jesus, what God is like, how I'm supposed to respond to adversity. The word's important because it's going to teach me, it's going to show me then as I take in the word, how I live it out. Because that was Jesus' emphasis. The Pharisees knew the word. They had the Old Testament memorized better than you ever will. And Jesus said, but the problem is their hearts are far from me. Okay, so he wants us to bear fruit. And it looks like these actions that are coming out, because that's all fruit is. Fruit is the actions of life in the vine. It's what we see, because we can't see the other stuff. Okay? So what now are here's a couple of thoughts that just struck me as I was preparing this week. Fruit exists for others. Fruit is to be consumed by other people. The orange doesn't say to the orange, hey, you look lovely today. Oh, so thank you. Yeah. What are you going to do this week? Oh, I don't know. What are you doing? Oh, I might spring up. I don't know. What's the point of oranges? To be eaten. Hey, let me eat you. Let me eat you. Fruit exists for other people. Fruit gives life. These things will nourish. Vitamin C, that's probably why I don't like them, because I'm not healthy. The whole point of fruit is that it exists to give life to others. When you and I are out there living a life worthy for Jesus, what are you doing? You're giving life to others. You're not doing it for yourself. I could make a case that we're living that life to please God and that others might see and be nourished by us. But you know what happens? I don't want to press it too far, but as the orange is consumed, there's less of it. It's all gone. There needs to be replenishing. That goes on in your soul. Or you end up empty. You end up with nothing. And that's where I think it pushes me back to keep feeding on Jesus. Keep having my soul encouraged by him. Okay, so I want to give you a couple of examples of what fruit might look like. My brain was all over the place, but I just want to give you two. One is kindness. In Colossians 3 now, 2 chapters later, Paul says, hey, as God's people, and I have it up here, he says, as God's chosen people, remember, what did Jesus say? I chose you. I chose you to go and bear fruit. Paul picks up that imagery. He says, hey, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, separate, and you won't believe how much the Father loves you, cares about you, wants to see you do well. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Kindness. What is kindness? Kindness means it's a generosity in word and deed towards other people. Kindness is doing good, putting it out there on display. Kindness is when you are spoken harshly to, how you respond. Kindness is, I'm trying to think, what else did I write down here? Kindness is not niceness. I thought this was interesting to me, and I would challenge you to do a little digging on this. When you're nice, you're being nice for yourself. Nice people don't like conflict. Nice people won't often tell the truth. Niceness has to do with you want people's approval. And you'll be nice because you don't want anybody mad at you. Kind people, because they want to do the right thing, will graciously, kindly tell you the truth. If you're on a date and you have something stuck on your teeth, a nice person won't say anything to you. They don't want to make you feel bad. They don't want to make it awkward. Because it would be, right? Have you ever been in that situation? A kind person will say, hey, you might take a napkin. Nice people, when their neighbor oversteps their boundaries, a nice person has a hard time saying something because they don't want to upset their neighbor. A kind person understands that if this keeps going, it's going to be an issue. Let me just figure out how to address this. A lot of Christians are nice. I want to challenge you not to be nice. I want to challenge you to be kind. Because kind is graciousness. Some of the same things happen, but your motivation is entirely different. I want to be kind to you for your benefit. I want to be kind to you because you'll get ahead. Niceness focuses on me. I want you to like me. I don't want you to be mad at me. And so therefore, I may or may not say, I probably will pass on saying something hard. Because I don't want you upset. Jesus calls us to be kind, not nice. Paul says, put on kindness, right? Put on this ability to be gracious. Kindness is never an accident. It will always be an intentional act. Kindness is doing good for the other's benefit. 2003, 16,000 people were asked in a survey, what's the most attractive quality that they find in another individual? 16,000 people, the number one thing that was mentioned was kindness. kindness, goodness. You want to be, kind people always have friends. Nice people, not so much. Because you see through it. You see through nice people. But kind people, people that are in it for your benefit, trying to encourage you, they will be your friend. Even if they say something you don't like. You'll come back and you'll circle back around and go, okay, but like they didn't like try and dress me down. They weren't trying to beat me up. Maybe I really do need to think about this because the whole way they approached it. Kind bosses have good teams. If you're in leadership, people under you want you to be kind. They want you to work for their benefit. And if you do that, you will have a solid performing team. If you're trying to work for the person above you and the people under you just become pawns for you, you will suffer. Because they will see that. And they will know I'm just a cog in your wheel. Marriages where there is kindness, where there is working for the benefit of the other people, both spouses see that and go, man, and it's refreshing, isn't it, to be around kind people? Kind people doesn't take much. But it is, as I said a moment ago, not an accident. 133,000 views on a Facebook page was a mom who had put her son, who had autism, on an airplane to go see his dad. Overseas trip. Had a note for the stewardess or the seatmate, whoever would read it, that just said, "Hi, my name is." There was $10 given in the note. If there's anything that needs to happen, just whatever. And then she puts him on a plane. On the other end, as the thing gets in Seattle, a dude snaps a picture with the boy. Hey, and sends it to the mom. Hey, so-and-so was my seatmate. He was awesome. It was the best time. You are the best mom, man. He's just a great little guy. 133,000 likes. And the mom posted, man, I wish there were more people like that in the world that took an interest in my son who didn't have to see that he just got safely to the other side. And the guy was like, yeah, and I just donated the $10 to this organization. It was a pleasure. The other thing here that I want you to think about is gentleness. A gentle person demonstrates their strength under control. Remember, it was Jesus who said, "Come to me, all you who are tired, you're beaten up, you're harassed, or whatever, for I am gentle and humble in heart." If I use Jesus as an example of gentleness, Jesus could look at the woman caught in adultery and say, where are those who are condemning you, like cussing you out, like ready to pick up stones? Jesus could say to a tax collector who's about to be attacked by the mob, hey, come on down, I want to have dinner at your house. Come on, let's go have lunch. And that same Jesus could look at the demonic forces and say, get the heck out of that boy. He could look at the money changers, those who were making money off of God's people, and say, get out of here. Gentleness is power under control. A river under control is cool, right? You can boat on it, you can kayak, you can fish, right? But let that same river get out of control in the Carolinas, and what do you have? You have disaster. Wind under control is a cool thing. Electricity, power comes from that channeled wind. Wind out of control going through Rolla does what? Wind out of control in Joplin does what? It destroys. And so I think one of the things that Jesus wants for us is to be gentle people, which is simply you have a power, but it's under control by the Spirit of God. Have you ever seen a boss out of control? Is that attractive? Is there anything winsome about somebody in your face, getting red, pointing the finger at you, putting you in your spot, and you go, yeah, I want to work for that dude. Sign me up. Sometimes don't those peons need it? Don't they? They just won't get their act together. If they just got their act together, my department would be better, right? Take the same person who's able to come alongside somebody who's not performing well and say, hey, man, we need to take a look at this. Hey, your numbers aren't where they need to be. How can I help you? What do you need from me? Because I really want to see you succeed. The same power, but under control. Because the dude does have the power to release you. Right? But he's not using that power as a weapon to beat you, rather to come alongside and lift you. We are called to be gentle people, to have a power of the Spirit of God in us to lift other people up, to encourage them. So what might this look like? If I was going to bear the fruit, if the results were going to be, I was going to be kind and I was going to be gentle, let me give you about 4 or 5 things that I thought of, okay? Use your words to build people up and encourage people. Look for ways with notes, your language, to be helpful. Look for ways to compliment. Smile this week. Smile at people. Ask them how they're doing. How's your week going? Just use your words to think about other people and lift them. Ephesians 4, I don't need to justify it with Scripture, but I am telling you it comes right out of there. Let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words would be an encouragement to the people who hear them. If somebody is eavesdropping on your conversation, will they walk away refreshed? Or like, oh man, let me back out of here. Forgive. Ephesians 4:32 says, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgive each other just as in Christ God has forgiven you. And I know even though we're not filled room here, I bet you there's 5 of you in here that have somebody that when that pops up, you know that you're still holding something towards. You've not forgiven them. You've not let it go. You're still nursing it. It's like, oh man. And you're called to let it go. I didn't say forget it because you won't forget it. But you have been called to not nurse the hurt. To not like ruminate and have space in your mind. Maybe you need to forgive yourself. Maybe you've screwed up. And there's no doubt you screwed up. And you still, every time when you think about yourself, the negative thoughts come because you remember that you're a screw up. I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, in the name of Christ, who has forgiven you already, would you forgive yourself? Second Timothy 2:24 and 25 says, the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but be kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness. There's our words, both of them. God may perhaps grant them repentance leading to a knowledge of the truth. And when I see some social media posts, I think you are not. You are not kind. You are not gentle. You are not gracious. You do not represent the heart of the Father. The Lord's servant, which is all of us, not the dude on the platform, must be kind to all, so that maybe in the conversations, I might lead you to think differently about who God is, who Jesus is, how he wants me to conduct myself out here. Instead, if I feel like I've got to defend my platform, I'm going to take on a different tone, am I? Because I got to be right. Right? I got to be right. I can't be wrong. I got to be right. You got to be right. Right? Do you ever allow yourself to the fact that maybe you're wrong? You might be wrong. And so as we're out there talking to people, patiently enduring evil, which means people might speak not so good about you. Doggone it, I don't want that. Help others find Jesus. 1 Peter 3:15 says, but in your hearts revere Christ, or set Jesus aside as the Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But do this with gentleness and respect. Easter's coming, April 20th. My message, I'm already going down this path. Easter, so what? Easter, so what? Now, I'm going to flat out ask you. I want you to be thinking about that. Easter, so what? So what? If somebody asks you, you going to be in church on Easter? And you say, well, yeah, I'm going. How come? How come? Easter, so what? What's the big deal about Easter? You have an answer? Because that's what Peter's saying there. Be ready when people ask you, honestly, not trying to bait you into an argument, for the hope that you have. Can you articulate it? Be helpful. I asked a guy from Grace Community Chapel to help me with the golf outing. Tuesday, Jerry calls me and he says, hey, Mike, he says, there's this app called 18 Birdies. You can see every hole. Would it be okay if I just laid out the holes? I'm going to send you pictures. And I was like, I just started laughing like, Jerry, you don't need to send them to me. No, I'm good, man. You would no. By Wednesday, I had the course laid out. All 18 holes. He had a scorecard made up. I'm like, dude, just being helpful. I spent an hour and a half with Garden Prairie City Hall on Tuesday. I said, hey, here's what we're thinking. Great conversation with the director of outreach. On Wednesday, she says, hey, would you guys want to come and be part of what we're doing? Because we think what you're doing could be helpful. Be helpful. Whatever you did for my wife and blessing her is being helpful. It doesn't take rocket scientists to be helpful. It takes people who are committed to Jesus living in you and living out of you, living differently than the noise that you see out there. The team's coming up. They're going to lead us in our last song. I thought this was interesting here, this quote. C.S. Lewis in his book Mere Christianity said that our popular conception of humility is misleading. Thought this was interesting. He said, do not imagine that if you met a really humble man, he will be what most people call humble. Probably you will all think about him is that he seemed cheerful, intelligent, and friendly, who took a real interest in what you said. I can't tell you the number of people when I engage a conversation at lunch or whatever want to talk about themselves. Rare is the person who takes an interest in the other person and says, tell me what's going on. How's it going? What's happening with your kids? What's the latest thing James is doing? That's kindness, gentleness. A guy who wrote about 400 years ago said, I expect to pass through this world but once. Any good thing, therefore, that I can do, any kindness that I can show my fellow creature, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again. Kindness and gentleness is not something to be avoided. It's honestly something I think we should run into. Christ calls you to bear fruit. Be kind, be gentle. Let the kindness and gentleness of Christ flow out of you. That's what I want for us this week. Let's sing with these guys.